Hi there and welcome back. I am feeling a little bit run down after a super busy week of work and life and all the things. So this weekend we're going to get into some self-care activities. Not your typical self-care like nail painting and I don't know, whatever the girly stuff people do. But we're going to do some fun things that make sure that we are fed and well. So we're going to make a couple of really great recipes with some veggies that are going to be for me, for baby, for the whole family. So let's get right into it. We're going to make a couple different things today. So we've really been enjoying a lot of soups and stews in the winter while it's cold. We like this Moroccan stew that I have a great recipe for. I've tried it many a times and it's just been a hit. So I saw a recipe online to actually make like a baby version of this recipe. So we're going to try that out so that I can share this recipe with all the family members. I'll link both of them below in case you're interested in trying it as well. And also because one of my goals for the year is to reduce food waste and really use as much of the fresh produce that I can grow, that I can buy, anything that is within my world of resources. I want to, be able to use it to the best of my ability. And this week in my Imperfect Produce box, Miss Market's box, I got beets, which I don't normally eat a ton of, and because I don't want them to just sit in the fridge and go bad, we're going to try and make something fun with them. So we're going to create a beet carrot applesauce, which I think will be really fun. It'll be nice and sweet and have a bright, beautiful red color to it. So I'm really excited for that. I've got a recipe for that I will share below. And to go with our stew, we're making a loaf of bread. I actually started our loaf of bread last night. It is currently rising, and I will show you what that looks like a little bit later on. Alright friends, I just wanted to give you a little bit of a hydroponic garden update. We've got some really cool things that have been happening here. Some of our lettuces have started to sprout up. And all the different pods now, we've got a little bit of something growing. I believe this is our cucumber. We'll have to wait and see what that ends up being. But I'm super excited for all of this goodness. I can't wait. It is February 4th today, and it's already looking like we're not too far off from our first little salad garden harvest. So I'm getting started some No-Knead bread. It's a recipe from Acre Homestead, one of the YouTubers that I love to watch. She actually does a video showing how to make this bread, and it's her recipe, so I will link that below. I'm going to get it started tonight because it has to rest overnight for about 12 hours. And then tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon, we'll bake it up and see what else we're going to make together. I'm trying to work on some make-ahead recipes, things that I can start now and have for the rest of the week so that when we're really super busy, it's just like an easy weeknight dinner that I can pull out and we can share as a family. So let me see if I can pull up the recipe. Please hold. No-Knead bread recipe. So in this recipe, she calls for 3 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons of salt, half a teaspoon of dry active yeast, and 1 1/2 cups of water at 110 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, I have 1 1/2 cups of water here, which I'm going to mix with our dry active yeast. The past couple times I have tried to make this recipe, I have struggled with the yeast blooming. So rather than directly follow her directions, which just call for throwing everything in a bowl and mixing it up, I'm going to actually mix the yeast with the water and a pinch of sugar, see if I can get the yeast to bloom, and then I will add in the flour. I need half a teaspoon. Yes, half a teaspoon of yeast. And the recipe doesn't call for any sugar, but this is just like a sugar in the raw type deal that hopefully is going to help the yeast to do what yeast does. So, pouring in 1.5 cups of water into my bowl. Going to stir it up. Wait for 5 minutes and hope for the best. I'll know that it's working if it starts to bubble. That'll show that the chemical reaction where the yeast is, you know, alive and eating things is working. Alright, so I waited like 5 minutes and it looks like it's doing something. We shall see. I did also read on the package that in order to keep yeast the freshest, you should store it in the refrigerator, which I have not been doing. So, if it is still good, tomorrow I will put it in an airtight container and put it in the fridge, and we will do that from now on. We're still going to move forward. If it doesn't rise, we'll just toss it out tomorrow and start over. Not a big deal. Okay. 3.5 cups of flour, 3.25 cups of flour, something like that. Making a mess, making a mess. Ooh. I'm sure this is not scientifically correct way to do this. We are going to move forward. Because I believe in our potential for greatness. Okay. Don't ask me why my measuring cup looks like this. It lost its handle in a great baby throwing kitchen items on the floor extravaganza 2023 happens. Okay. Oh, that was 3. Now we need 1/4. This is a really embarrassing tool to use for salt. There's no salt in our house right now, so I am making do with what we have. Definitely not quite 2 teaspoons of salt. Let me quickly see if I can find it anywhere. Well, it'll be what it is. This is an experiment. It's going to be fun. I swear this recipe, when you have the correct ingredients and proper tools, is super quick and easy.
Okay, and according to the recipe, that is really all you should have to do. It says mix until a shaggy dough forms. I will show you what my dough looks like. It'll also be helpful tomorrow because I'll be able to tell if it rose the way it was supposed to. I'm just gonna give it just like a little bit of a something. Shouldn't really need to do anything, but any kneading, I mean, but I've been really struggling with a super simple recipe that I managed to get right the first time I did it and have not been able to successfully do it the past month or so. So, hoping it's not user error, which it totally can't be. But for now, this is all we have to do. Alright, and this is what our dough looks like now. Just gonna throw a cover over this, maybe like a damp towel and like a lid for the bowl, and that'll be it. I'll see you back in the morning. Alright, now we're going to get into some of our other recipes. Our bread is doing its second rise. We just shaped it, and I am going to cut up some of the veggies and start prepping some broth for our soup. Normally I would have frozen veggie scraps in the freezer that I could quickly just throw into my Instant Pot and make broth with. I don't have anything in the freezer right now, so as we're meal prepping, I'm just going to take the veggie scraps, throw those into the bowl for my Instant Pot, and then turn that into broth. So, let's start with our Moroccan stew, because that's what we need the veggie broth for. And we will dice our onions, crush some garlic, grate some ginger, and all the peels and things for that I'll put in here, and we'll make our broth. And I think that that'll be great.
Hi there. So I just got back from Costco picking up some things that I need for recipes today and just basic household stuff. So now that we have all that, we can finally get cooking.
Time to change gears for a moment. Our timer went off, so it's time to put the bread in the oven. let's see if I can manage to do this without the parchment paper because I didn't buy it. You know, it's just one of those days, but that's okay. We're gonna move forward. We're gonna move forward. We can do this. I need the oven mitts that are underneath my camera, but it's okay. We are going to make it.
Our bread is rising beautifully. I'm so pleased with how it's coming along.
So now I'm gonna do some meal prep, chopping up some veggies. All right, so this recipe calls for 2 large sweet potatoes, and I have sort of medium-sized ones, so I'm gonna use 3. Give them a quick rinse. I'm not doing like a really deep scrub with these because I'm not gonna eat the peels. Normally I would leave the peels on my sweet potatoes, just less work and a little extra nutrition. But because this recipe calls for peeling them, this peeler is not working with me here. This is really tough. Yikes. Okay. I'm gonna have to think of another way to do this. Okay, got a small paring knife now. Gonna peel with this, and I think that'll work just fine. Let's review where we are. Our bread is rising, soon to be in the oven. Got our Dutch oven in the oven heating. And right now I'm peeling the veggies for our stew so that we can use all the peels and offcuts to make broth with. I'm doing that for 2 reasons. One is because it's always good to use every little bit that we can so we don't waste. Also because I couldn't find any veggie broth in the store. Totally fine. This is just, you know, one little extra step, but like we said, it's a win for the planet and win for the pocketbook too, because it's cheap to just use what you would have thrown away. Okay, so we need, let's see, crushed garlic, and I might, this is 2 cloves, I might just like take 1 entire head of garlic, break a couple of the cloves up for this recipe, and throw the rest just smashed right into our broth for our soup. That will help add some flavor. Got a little bit excited with my garlic session. On it, all right, it's coming together. Yes, so satisfying. Got 2 small white onions finely diced, 2 cloves of garlic, ginger grated. Getting a lot of dishes out. Get ready.
One of the ways that I found that makes it really easy to grate ginger is just to use my vegetable peeler, and just make tiny little slices of the ginger, fresh ginger, that I can then chop up into really fine bits to go into recipes. That's just what I've found makes it a little bit easier. Up next, we are peeling the carrots. All of our carrot peels are going into our pot for our vegetable broth, and then chopping up the carrots to go into the stew, as well as chopping up all of our sweet potatoes.
I think we have everything that we need at this point to get our broth into the Instant Pot and start simmering away so that we can make our soup later on. So I'm going to put some finishing touches on this, put it in our Instant Pot, and then we can see where we are. Ground turmeric for color, smoked paprika, a little bit of extra flavor, some herbs, and this salt-free seasoning blend. I would also add celery, the inside of celery hearts, the leaves and things if I had it. I don't, so I'm just gonna put in some celery seed.
Here I'm adding all of the spices to the vegetable broth. I find that it's easiest to just add all of my spices in with my vegetable peels and chopped up carrots and onions and whatever I'm using to make broth with. Put that in the pot, add a little bit of olive oil, and then I add water to that mixture and cook it on the low setting in my Instant Pot.
All right, now I'm just gonna fill this up with water and get it started in our Instant Pot.
Now it is time for us to get our bread in the oven. The cast iron Dutch oven has been heating up in our preheated oven to 450 for about 30 minutes while our dough is doing its second rise. Now it's time to take our dough and place it into our hot Dutch oven carefully and without burning our hands. I have previously used parchment paper to lift the dough into the Dutch oven, but I didn't have any parchment paper that day, so I was able to just lift it directly into my Dutch oven pan, and we'll see later that it works out just fine. It doesn't affect the recipe. Next, I'm dicing all the veggies that are going to go in our Moroccan Veggie Stew later. The point of chopping them all up now, A, is to just be efficient with time. I want to get as many things cut and prepped and ready while it's early in the day and I've got lots of energy. And also then I can use any offcuts or peels or things that aren't directly going into the stew and put those into the broth.
Now one of my waste reducing favorites, these are stasher bags. So they're like a silicone baggie that you could reuse. So if you're a person who uses a lot of Ziploc bags, this could be a great swap for you if that's something you're interested in. It's a little bit of an upfront cost, but you can use it many times. There's so many different ways you can use it. I'm sure, look on the internet. I've heard you can even like pop popcorn into these things. You can pour boiling water into them and use them for cooking food. endless possibilities. They're super, super cool. And they can also hold your food if you need them to do that very basic task for you.
And off we go, chopping up all the veggies. This part gets a little bit redundant, so I'll double time it for you, and you can just sit back and watch me chop lots of veggies. All of this goodness is going into our stew, and I'm so excited for the end product. It is going to be really, really tasty. Bell peppers we're using today, also onions we've cut up earlier, and the zucchini and sweet potatoes will be one of the final things that we chop up. Alright, we've got just about all the bell peppers chopped up now. I'm setting them aside and putting them in a bowl. We're going to put those in the fridge to rest until later, along with all the veggies we didn't use. Also using some Swiss chard. I'm taking the stems and putting the stems into our broth, our pot for our broth, and I'm going to cut up some of the leaves and put that in the stew. The stew actually calls for kale, I believe, but Swiss chard is what I had on hand that day. So we're chopping up some Swiss chard that we're going to save to put in the stew later, and all the bits that are left over because they were starting to wilt and I didn't want to waste them. We're going to go right into our broth, and so that'll just help add a little bit more flavor to our soup and to our broth for later.
That timing's actually perfect because it's time for me to chuck the bread, and we just finished chopping up all the veggies for the soup. So the only thing left to prep at this point is the stuff for the applesauce. So I'm going to very carefully remove the lid. And we will bake for 10 more minutes to get a nice crusty top. Time to check the bread. This part could get tricky. Okay, wish you could smell that. The bread smells incredible. I'm super excited to try it despite all of the ways that I may have messed it up, but I mean, we'll taste it. We'll see if it's okay. I haven't really read through this applesauce recipe, so let me read it through one more time. Okay, ingredients: 6 to 8 apples, 2 large carrots, 2 medium beets, cinnamon, and water. It sounds super, super simple. Okay, so we'll need to core and roughly chop apples into quarters. You can keep the skin on for some fiber, but if you choose to peel them, prepare the carrots by washing and peeling them. Slicing them into 2 to 3 inch pieces, wash and peel the beets, chop them into rough quarters for a sweeter taste. Use 8 instead of 6 apples and 1 for your beet. Place a large pot on the stove top over high heat and add the apples, carrots, and beets along with cinnamon and water. Bring the mixture to a boil, simmer covered for 30 to 35 minutes. Turn the heat to low. You want the fruit and veggies to be tender when touched with a fork before blending. Remove from heat and use an emergent blender. Okay, I love this recipe. Says that you don't have to peel the apples. And I really don't want to. This is tough. Because if it's too fibery, it's not going to be pleasant for baby to eat. Okay, maybe we're peeling apples. We can do it. Okay.
All right, now it's time to get started on our applesauce. So beginning peeling the apples with the same vegetable peeler. I'm not really sure what's wrong with this tool. It was no use to me in peeling the sweet potatoes. Worked really well for grating up the ginger, but is absolutely useless on this apple.
This peeler is such a struggle.
Alright, it seems like we are figuring it out now. Finally getting going on peeling those apples. And for this recipe, we just have to peel the apples, cut the carrots, cut the beets, and then we'll be on our way.
Calls for 1 cup of water. So that as soon as I finish cutting the apples and coring them, I can throw them right in the water and they won't turn brown on me.
It is definitely a little bit more work to peel the apples, but of course, the whole point of this recipe, the whole point of this day of cooking, as a part of my self-care weekend, is really that it's all a labor of love. Making something beautiful and homemade for my family that they can enjoy and appreciate, that's going to be to their taste, but also going to, help us use up the food in the fridge. That's the whole point of this exercise, so it's worth it to take a little bit of extra time to peel these apples. Up next, once we're finished peeling all the apples, we're going to get our apples and our cut up carrots into our pot on the stove. I've got it on a low temperature right now.
If you've cooked with beets before, you know that they can stain everything red. So I'm going to be super careful to peel my beets on this flexible cutting board and make sure that it doesn't get anywhere else. All the peels and everything stay here, and then we'll immediately deal with those. Okay, let's see. Ooh, so juicy. As I'm looking at this beautiful color of the beets, I'm thinking that this would actually be a great thing to use as like a natural food dye. I wonder if I could use these to make like some red or pink cookies or cupcakes or something for Valentine's Day. Stay tuned on that. I like that idea. Okay, 2 beets in the pot with our carrots and our apples. And we're going to allow that to simmer over the stove covered for 30 to 35 minutes and turn the heat to low. I'm supposed to bring it to a boil. So I'm going to turn it up to high until I get it to a boil, and then I'm going to leave it to simmer for 30 to 35 minutes and take a little bit of a rest, a break, a breather from the kitchen. Obviously, there'll still be other stuff going on. Looks like I was at the scene of a crime. Beet juice. Okay, I just wanted to show you we got the rest of our ingredients together in order to make our Moroccan veggie.
A quick update on our bread. It came out beautifully. I can't wait to try it.
All right, we are up to a beautiful simmer with our sauce, our carrot apple beet, our fruit veggie sauce. So I'm gonna turn this down to a low temperature, cover it with a lid, and we will come back to check on it in 30 minutes. And in the meantime, I will eat some leftover pizza and attempt to rest. Chase a toddler. Okay, see you soon. All right, our broth has been simmering for quite some time. We took a little bit of a rest for some playtime. And our fruit and veggie sauce has been simmering away on the stove. The apples seem to cook really quickly. Everything else sort of moving along at a slower pace, but that's all right. Yeah. Got a visitor here with us. It's dinner time now, so this has been an all afternoon project. But we're moving along. We're making great progress. Feeling really good about it. I'm just gonna throw some sweet potatoes in the oven. It's not part of our recipe, just one of our regular meal prep things. Next we need to strain the broth, and then we can get our soup going. Feels like we've been doing the soup all day. In order to make our Moroccan veggie-loaded soup, we got all the rest of our ingredients set in together. So all we need is to strain the broth, and then we can start putting this together. And we are on the way to being done. All right, and we're back. Let's see what we can use to strain our broth into. Hey. Hi. Beautiful. Look at that. Okay, it is still pretty warm. All right, so the leftovers from our broth, both of our stuff's gonna go in the compost now. And finally, it is time to put together the last bits of our soup. So I know the first thing we're gonna do is saute some onions. The recipe calls for 3 tablespoons of oil. I'm gonna use olive oil, and I am clearly not measuring. Okay, we're at that point of the night, folks. So let's grab our veggies out. All right, we got our veggies out of the fridge. My compost bucket is hot and steamy now. I hope I don't come to like that. I'm going to add some onions to my pan. Waiting for it to heat up. Onions first. Okay, one lesson learned, everything takes longer than you think it will. We had a bit of a tech meltdown. Camera didn't want to work, phone didn't want to work. I missed a couple steps with you guys, so I wanted to bring you up to speed. The apple beet carrot sauce is done boiling on the stove, so I'm letting that cool, and then I will blend it up. And I added the tomatoes and spices from our soup. And then I just need to add our broth that we strained, and I think we'll be in business. Adding all of our veggies next. Okay, I did strain it one more time with a more of a fine mesh strainer just to get any bigger bits from spices and things that I might have added to the broth, just to make it super smooth and tasty. All right, tomatoes, vegetable stock, spices, sweet potatoes, carrots, peppers, zucchini, along with chickpeas. Okay, so I'm adding 4 cups of liquid. And for whatever reason in my pot, this doesn't feel like quite enough liquid. I'm gonna add another All right, that was super easy. All I had to do was blend it up, and this sauce is done. I'm gonna taste it. It's pretty good. Gonna let my man taste it. I think it's a hit. Awesome. I'll be back to you when the soup's done.
And we're back. Soup is done. At the end of the night, we've got our fruit sauce here in 1 container, 2 containers of broth, and a little bit of extra juice that I'll save.
Just have to let you know, I just had a bite of the bread. Crusty on the outside, warm and soft on the inside. Enjoying it with a little bit of vegan butter. So good. So good. Alright. Done for the night now. See you guys the next one.
I did decide to grab a little bit of a bowl of soup and a little bit of the fruit sauce to try, even though it was late. I wanted to make sure that the food tasted good.
Alright, folks. Hair's up. I'm tired. It is the end of the night. Just wanted to pop back in and say a final word. It was a long day. I'm really tired, but feeling super accomplished. We got a lot done. We made our Moroccan stew. We made our no-knead loaf of bread from scratch, and we made our applesauce. We even got 2 containers of vegetable broth in the process that I'm going to freeze for future use. It was a great day of meal prep. We're gonna have tons to eat tomorrow, to freeze, to have over the next couple weeks, and it's just one more meal that I won't have to think about later on. So glad that I was able to get some of this done today, and so glad that you were along with me. Again, this is Raina in the World. You can find me here on YouTube. I also have another video that I made a couple years ago with butternut squash soup, so if you're just in the mood for some nice, warm, cozy foods for the winter time, I'll link that one in the cards as well as put in the description box so that you can watch that until my next upload. Thank you, and bye. See you in the next one.